Well, welcome to the Sacred Service Podcast. Hi, everybody. I'm Starr Tyler. So grateful to be here with my co-host Tyler Tanner. Yay! Good morning, Tyler. How are you, my love?
Good morning, Star. I am doing good. Um, yeah, it's been a while since we've been on, huh?
Yes,
Since
yes, my love. It has. It's been a while, and it's been a good time. It's been really a beautiful time. There is there's a little thing that I would love to, one of my favorite books. I have a stack of books beside my bed, and um, every so often I love to pull just one of those books out and just read from a random space and just, okay, what do I need to hear? And one of those books is The Tao of Leadership. And there's a little thing in the Tao of Leadership, and I posted this on the Shamanic Church of the Heart Insta page the other day, but it really speaks to our time off. And I want to read it a little bit. You good with that?
I'm so good with that.
Okay, so the chapter is about the warrior, the healer, and the Tao. And it says the leader can act as a warrior or a healer. As a warrior, the leader acts with power and decision. That is the yang or the masculine aspect of leadership. Most of the time, however, the leader acts as a healer and is in an open, receptive, and nourishing state. And that's the feminine or the yin aspect of leadership. This is a mixture of doing and being, of warrior and healer. It's both productive and potent. There's a third aspect of leadership, the Tao. Periodically, the leader withdraws from the group and returns to silence, returns to God, being, doing, being, and then the Tao. I withdraw in order to empty myself of what has happened, to replenish my spirit. A brilliant warrior does not make every possible brilliant intervention. A knowing healer takes time to nourish self as well as others. Such simplicity and economy is a valuable lesson. It deeply affects the group. The leader who knows when to listen, when to act, and when to withdraw can work effectively with nearly anyone, even other professionals, group leaders, or therapists, perhaps the most difficult and sophisticated group members. Because the leader is clear, the work is delicate and does not violate anyone's sensibilities.
Wow.
Right? So there it is. I think it has been a time for us to go inward and, maybe take this break and take this time to really go in and nourish. And I personally really feel like I have been in that space of not necessarily withdraw, but yeah, a little bit withdrawal. Like I haven't been doing the Mindful Mondays. We've been taking a break from the podcast. It's been travel time for me. It's been ceremony time for me. And I think that it's important to take those little breaks and to go inward. And yeah, so here we are. I'm back at it. And I'm very, very excited to be here with you.
Oh my gosh, so am I. And I can say 100 million, billion, trillion% that I resonate with that in my own life as well. There's been but so okay, so in my life and kind of some of the reason that the break has happened, I mean, I've moved recently, so you've been doing all this travel stuff. I've moved recently. My partner has undergone, pretty extensive surgery, maybe not super extensive, but surgery nonetheless, which is extensive in and of
That's
itself.
pretty, yeah, that's big.
And kind of getting into a flow of letting the old kind of fall away and falling into this new present time, this new time of now. And I've and it's
This
and
new moment of now. I love it. It's so
I mean,
true. And doesn't it feel like it's so different after the eclipse? Are you guys feeling that? I mean, like, wow, thank goodness that eclipse energy is complete for now.
holy shit, sorry. You posted something on Facebook like a couple days before the eclipse was actually like in the sky, and you said something like, "All right, everybody, boots on the
Calling
ground.
the tribe.
Here
Here
we
we
go.
go.
Let's beam it out. Let's share the love." And I was, I kind of read it in passing and was like, okay, cool, And then just everything. I feel like everything right now for everybody is just so emotionally raw, and
Charged.
everything is at the surface. There is nothing left to hide behind. It is, your shit is up and we're gonna deal with it right now you
And
know
I think that that's the beauty really of the eclipses and the blood moon and the times where maybe our light is shadowed over and it's time to go in and work the depths, the next layer of whatever it is that needs to rise and be released and be loved up on. And what is it that we are in denial about? It's the shadow work, and as much as we all really dislike the shadow work because it's hard, it's also that, hallelujah moment of, yay, we made it through. And I see that. And let me make that an ally. Let me make whatever that shadow is, let me bring it to light and see what really needs to be nurtured within ourselves. So I think it's always hard work, but it always pays off if we do the work and we actually go in and use the energies and really, attune ourselves to the energies so that we can utilize them for our highest good and for the highest good of the collective. And so, yeah, that post was a call to tribe, like, hey, you guys, please, let's get in our heart space and let's start beaming a bunch of love to the collective. If you are in that higher consciousness space, we need you to start, counteracting all of this, because all of us were feeling the shadows. All of us were feeling that oppression, and you got to get in there and scrub. Which brings us to, hey guys, we're talking about the purge today. We've been talking about the different aspects of going into plant medicine ceremony, and we've touched a lot of subjects and we've danced around the purge a lot. And so today, in the heart of our podcast, we're going to dive into some of those areas and look at the purge and what is the purge? Why is the purge? What's the purge about? And it's one of the things, honestly, Ty, that as a facilitator, most of the people have a resistance. I can see when people come and they're wanting to maybe step on that journey to do deeper healing, that the resistance that comes in is like, really, are we am I about to, like puke in a bucket with full, in a room full of people? Like, really, is that gonna happen? Or, like in the case of just recently, somebody saying, do we really have to shit in a bucket?
oh my god.
No, by the way, you don't have to shit in a bucket. So we got a lot of things to talk about today. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, I'm excited to share about, my own experiences that I've had with the purge in ceremonies that I've participated in. So I'm very grateful for everything that I've learned from the purge and everything that has shown me in my life, even out of ceremony, of how we continue to purge things that no longer serve us as we, live this beautiful life in this meat suit of being a
Right?
human being right now. So yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. I also wanted to say too, just kind of like before we jump into everything, because I was still thinking about what you were saying about withdrawing with that, the Tao leadership, and kind of taking that time to go in and reflect, because as much as I feel like I resonate with that, I feel like withdrawing has not been an option for me in the sense of the demands that I feel are being placed on me outside of myself, whether it be through work or relationship or friends or family. It's just kind of everyone's shit has been up, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like it has been a it has been a question to me posed to myself of how am I showing up for myself first of all, and then also how am I showing up in all of these other, moving pieces. And so I recently undertook I recently went through, rites of passage with you, Star, as far as stepping into really living a sacred life and
Hey.
undergoing shamanic rites of, um, taking your place as shaman in your life. You know what I mean? And I feel like everything that's been going on recently has kind of been a test is how I'm perceiving it, but is because we're coming up and we're going to be co-facilitating together next month, and just so grateful to be able to show up in that way. And I'm really kind of being shown in my life right now of when shit kind of hits the fan, like how do you respond? And so yeah, I wanted to share that with
Well,
you.
that's just it, Tyler. And I love that you used the word respond as opposed to react,
Mhm.
because that's a huge difference. And you guys really lean in and feel the difference in those two ways of engagement. Is that as the shit's hitting the fan, are you reacting? Are you triggered by it? Or are you pausing, coming back to the heart space, and then being in your response to it? And sometimes a no response is a response. Sometimes a withdraw is a response. Yeah. So, what are some of the tools that you use to keep yourself grounded so that you can be in that response as opposed to the reactionary and all of that? Like what are some of the things that maybe you could share with our beautiful tribe today that would be some of those ways that we can, stay grounded, stay centered. And you've had moving pieces and moving parts, between your move and your partner and all the things, your job and all the things, moving pieces. And I can see where it would seem as if you are being tested. So, how do you move through the moving pieces and not be usurped by the chaos, but still stay in your grounded center?
Thank you for asking. So for today, as far as like tools of advice that I feel like I could give, and I feel like the tools are always so simple, aren't they? And it's always like, really, like you're gonna tell me that, breathwork is a big one for me.
Mhm.
After we went through some of the last rites that you gave to me, there was the Kali Mudra with the breath of fire, right?
Right? Pulling it up like over your head. Oh, you guys can't see my arms. Pulling this up over your head, drawing the energy down and doing that breath of fire. That's powerful. And then bringing it to and pulling the energy up, so you're creating that Kali Mudra right at your sacral spine with the pointer fingers down to the earth. And then with that breath of fire, pulling that energy up. And so you're becoming that channel.
Yeah, well, exactly. And so mudras, for those of you guys who don't know, are different hand placements. And if you think of yourself as an energetic, vibrating being of frequency and light and all of that stuff, our fingers are like little antennas, you know what I mean?
Mm.
And so when you put them in these different positions, you are, charging or putting intent behind this energy that you're working through. And in my case, doing a lot of that with the breath work, I feel like if somebody were to want to start to get into some kind of mindfulness or some type of practice, getting into different variations of breath work it would be a really great place to start, because it's not necessarily something that you can mess up. Like, we're all breathing, you know what I mean? And so you don't have to feel like, am I doing this right? Or, like, am I getting the messages, or am I doing whatever? But simply coming back into the body, focusing on the breath, there's no way to like not be in the present moment when you are leaning into your breath and you are setting intention with your breath.
Right.
So
Bringing
that's
awareness to the breath, right?
yes.
Bringing the awareness that I am going to breathe into my heart. And so you don't have to do breath of fire. You don't have to do, all of these holotropic or X, Y, or Z, and they're all great. But just simply coming back to the awareness of your breath and the intention of, I'm going to take this moment to take a breath into my heart and recenter. That
100%.
can be powerful in and of itself.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I wanted to share with that is I've been trying to, okay, I'm going to take the word try out of there. I,
Hey, hey, I love it.
I have been giving myself the time and the space to um, create a foundation of movement in the body, specifically with Tai Chi. There's a lot of great, beginner, easy tutorials on YouTube, and some of them are only like 5 or 10 minutes long, where it just takes you through a Tai Chi sequence that's based on traditional Tai Chi movements. And what I love about it is, you don't have to, you don't have to necessarily worry about doing the moves exactly and moving your body in the right way, but connecting the breath to the somatic movement of the body and moving that energy through your body. It is, oh my God, it has just been so juicy and yummy and good. And,
It
you know,
is so juicy, yummy, and good when we connect the breath with the body and come home. Dude, there is nothing better, because truly what's happening with that is we're getting out of the head and we're coming back into the body. And so, yeah, when we're up here and overthinking and all of this, isn't that where we can get really caught up in the chaos, right? Is
well,
when we start colluding with the worry of what may come in the future, or the rumination of what has happened in the past. Well, guess what? We're not here in the present when we're doing that. And so, to your point, man, breath work and somatic therapy, and it's true. You can go through, and I'm sure that we've all had an experience of a yoga class or a martial arts class or a whatever, where, we have been up in our head thinking about the to-do list as we're placing our asanas. So the key is really focused intention.
mhm.
And isn't that truth, though, Ty, with everything in life?
With everything. Well, I was so
Focused intention.
absolutely, because even so, as today, for example, in the morning when I'm sitting there on my bed and I'm like, okay, am I gonna do this? Am I gonna do this Tai Chi thing? Am I gonna respect myself and give myself the time to do that? Because and I learned this in sales also. I did sales for a long time, and I was sitting there and I was just thinking about it. I was just thinking about it. And then like other thoughts start coming in, and it's just you're sitting there and you're thinking, and then all of a sudden you think yourself into a panic, you know what I mean?
Right.
And
Or you've mind fucked yourself right out of doing your Tai Chi.
yeah, yeah. So what I learned in sales was, if you're stressed, and especially like door-to-door sales, if you're thinking about it and you're thinking about, oh my God, okay, what am I going to say? Am I going to say the right things? Oh my God, I got so many doors to knock on. today. I have so many no's to get through to get to someone who maybe will give me a yes. You know what I mean? You're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because when you take the action and you just do it, then you take yourself out of the thinking process of it, and it just becomes, like the action piece of it, which I feel like is, kind of mirrors when you are when you, like before today, when I was like sitting on my bed and I'm sitting here and I'm just thinking over and over and over and over and over, I literally heard one of my old sales mentors in my head. I was like, you're thinking too much, just do it. You know what I mean?
I love it.
So I was like,
And the
okay.
thing about that too, Ty, that is so poignant maybe, is that when you're thinking about, and let's go back to the sales kind of thing, when you're walking up to that door and you're thinking about what you're going to say, then you're so busy thinking about what you have to say that you're not being present with the person and hearing what it is that they need. And this really comes right back to the idea, are we doing the deep listening? Or
Mhm.
are we listening to know what it is that we're supposed to say, as opposed to really giving a thoughtful approach to what it is that's on deck. So it's the same thing, we get caught up in the head, and then we're not, then you go up to the door and you're so geared up for what it is that you have to say in order to make this pitch, that you're not even hearing what the person needs or wants or engaging in. And we all know that that's, I mean, whether it's sales or your life or any relationship that we are building, it's built based on that capacity to be with one another and to do that deep listening with one another, and responding from a space of what I've heard. And now I can think about how my heart feels and respond in that way.
100%. And I feel that even in, so many other facets of my life, because whether it's, socially, and you are going to a friend's house or an acquaintance or a party or a club or whatever, and we get so caught up in, oh my God, how is the night going to unfold? Am I going to say something stupid? Am I going to show up in the right way and be liked by these people or whatever? Then you're thinking about, well, you get caught up and you're thinking, oh my God, okay, this conversation's happening. What am I going to respond with? What am I going to respond with? Versus what I've been trying to do with myself, because I do, experience those social kind of anxieties sometimes, even with this podcast. It's like, oh my God, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? What am I going to say? But really focusing on, for me, what has helped me is coming back into the present moment. I'm right here, right now. I am free. I am safe. I am capable. I am, you know what I
I
mean?
am.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
it's truth. It's so such truth. And, I think that it's such a great conversation. And when we think about the tools that we need to not be swept up in the mind fuckery or the, the chaos of what's around us, or the perceived chaos that's around us, coming back to center. And I love that you use those tools. And I just want to invite you guys to really drop into that. And some of the things that well, we're talking about the purge today. Some of the tools that I would say, are that are available to us too, is simple ceremony practices, fire ceremony. Throw it in the fire, man. Let it burn, and letting go of some of the things that maybe we have accumulated from the exterior that really aren't ours, that we maybe carry around because we're empaths, because we're sensitive beings that can really feel what's going on, and we've taken on things, taken on energy. And so it's really important to cleanse yourself using your Florida waters, using your smudge, cleanse your more times than like a lot, guys, like, don't forget these tools. They're beautiful tools that we can use. We can we can use the smudge, we can use the Florida waters, we can use the Palo Santos to cleanse and purge We can use simple ceremonies as in the fire ceremony to, put the things in the fire and let it go. We can also use, like, I am notorious for giving homework that says you need a shaman's bath, right? So go soak yourself in a tub that has Epsom salts, baking soda, frankincense, lavender. Bring yourself back in, purging out the energies that maybe you've accumulated throughout your day. The Epsom salts and baking soda is really going to help you to do that. So there are lots of little tools that are available and are pack a mean punch, really do work the energies for us, and help us to stay centered and grounded. So I love the breath work. I love the movement, the somatic therapies, bringing us back into the present moment. And also this idea of let's let go of some of these things that have accumulated and are starting to pile up. And it's like maintenance, that we have to do. It's like just as your car needs an oil change, you too need a cleanse, just as maybe your car needs to go and get scrubbed up, maybe you too need a cleanse, and maybe that's how you're gonna, be able to let go of some of the things and have your mind centered and clear.
Maybe what kind of gasoline you're putting into your car, huh?
Yeah, what are you feeding your temple, right? That's
Yeah.
big, yo. Um, are you, being mindful of your sugar intake? We know that this is inflammatory, and one of the things that is so big for a lot of people when you're feeling uncomfortable in your life and all the shadow stuff is up and, we've just gone through a big, like, woo, eclipse moon, blood moon, and all of that is like, oh, it could be that your go-to is like, I just need a shadow snack. Can I please have a brownie? So and does that feed your temple? So that's a really good point too, are you feeding the trauma? Or are you feeding your highest self? And that's a really big question throughout. What are you putting into your temple? How are you keeping your body in an alkalized state? An alkalized state is that, there's plenty of science out there, guys. If you keep your body in a high alkaline state, there is no space for dis-ease to live within the body. So, if you haven't heard that before, you heard it here on the Sacred Service podcast, and you guys can look. I mean, that's just facts. So yay. We want to share a little bit of before we get into the heart of the and not saying that all the things that we've just talked about are not the heart of our podcast, but
Right.
um,
But the purge related heart,
yeah, yeah. But we had some suggestions from you guys, really good ones too. Um, the rapid fire. The rapid fire questions have just been a blast when we've been doing these on our interviews. And, before I get into the rapid fire with Tyler, yes, because we're going to rapid fire Tyler today. So this kind of gives you a little bit more insight to who we are. And next week, um, Tyler will rapid fire me. So it's kind of fun and it gives you guys just a little bit more of an insight. And but I do want to talk a little bit about, you guys and your support for us. And it's been almost overwhelming, guys. I am just so taken back by your feedback, your support, your um your encouragement, but also like the feedback that you're giving us is so poignant, beautiful, appreciated. Like we love you guys. This is just so great. And we Tyler and I had a bunch of interviews that we've done. And I just want to say that we ended up pulling a bunch of them. Not because they weren't great, because they were. We pulled them because the information that was given in those specific podcasts, how do we say it, Tyler? May come back to bite us in the butt a little bit later. No, honestly, it was that I got a download or a message from Spirit that said, "Girl, you being too free with your information on public forum." And there is a certain part of this that and I know, Tyler, you feel the same way. Like, we've got some wisdom, we've got some experience, we've done some research. We're here to share on an educational base. We're not here to set us up as um, what's the way to say it, Ty? I don't know. We have to be careful legally. Okay, I'm just going to say it. We have to be careful legally as we are navigating decrim, as we are navigating all of these things. And as a person that has been in the medicine, in the trenches for many years now, I feel like I had to pull back some of those interviews in order to protect our tribe and in order to protect what we do and how we do it. So hopefully we'll get a lot of those interviews back up in a way that is either they're edited. So we're still looking for the perfect editor for our podcast. And so if you know someone or you are that someone, yay, let's do that. And then also, reshooting some of the podcasts with maybe quite as not as much detail
Right.
about where and when ceremonies are and those kinds of things. So it's more of it's a funny thing to navigate in this, because I'm such an open book. You're such an open book.
That's the
And we
same.
really want to share from an educational standpoint this information, and we're navigating sacred realms. And when we start getting out of the quote norm, then we've got to be a little mindful of that. And my number one, always, no matter what it is safety is number one, and I'm here to protect people. And yeah, it's my responsibility in that way. So I just wanted to come in and talk a little bit about that and let you know that if you, number one, if you were one of those people that got interviewed and you're wondering why aren't they airing on the interview, that's why. We've gotten in touch with most of the people that we've interviewed and had this dialogue. Um, so that's where we are. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. And just know that we're here on this podcast as to be in sacred service, to raise the vibration for community, to raise the vibration in the collective. And we do come from an educational standpoint. So take what resonates. Know that we're here in our heart space to share what we know from our own experience, from the wisdom, from the teachings. And that, if there's things that don't resonate with you, that's okay. That's perfectly perfect in every way. Everybody is in their own process and on the journey in their own specific places, and we honor it all. There's no we honor you.
I love that you said that, Star, as far as like, because, coming back, I don't know, I guess I just feel a little nervous coming from the place of like educational from the sense of like, I'm not a doctor, I don't have a degree, I don't have whatever. Like everything that I'm sharing here with you guys has come from my own, personal experience on how I have applied these teachings or these, ceremonies or these experiences in my own life that I can only share from what I know. And so thank you everyone for tuning in and, turning on, and thank you, Starr, for being here with me. I'm so grateful, and I'm excited to get into these rapid fire questions.
Hey, all
I need a
right, here we
question.
go. It's the rapid fire section of the Sacred Service podcast. Tyler, you have 1 second to answer each question.
Okay,
It's dropping into your heart and just firing out what is the answer that comes first. All right, you ready? Take a deep breath into your heart. Astrology sign,
Leo.
power animal.
Oh, dolphin.
What planet are you from?
Venus.
Favorite crystal?
Rose quartz.
Country or city?
Country.
Favorite season?
Fall.
What's your favorite body part?
Hands.
What's your word of the day?
Love.
What's something you're good at?
Singing.
Yeah, he is. Nickname. Do you have a nickname?
There's so many. It's so many. It's sickening. Bubble up.
What is it?
Bubble up. That's the one my mom calls me.
Bubble. Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice.
That's
All right.
embarrassing. You were just
Do,
said that.
do you remember your dreams?
Sometimes.
Tattoos?
Yes.
Cat or dog?
Ooh, cat.
Pumpkin spice latte.
I know.
Pumpkin spice latte, duh, is his kitty's name. What is your superpower?
Oh, oh, so many more seconds are being passed. My superpower is my compassion. Yeah.
Hey, all right.
Hell yeah.
Favorite plant medicine?
Ayahuasca.
Grandmama. What, this is a big one, is the meaning of life?
To love.
To love. Rapid fire complete. How did that feel?
Good. I was like a little nervous. I was like, oh my gosh. But it was good.
It's fun, right? I love that. And I believe it was Kanika who sent that in and made that suggestion. And so thank you to Kanika for your love and your support. And that was a good one. So yay, that was great. I love that. And it kind of gives us a little more insight to who you are.
Yes, and
Mhm.
also Konica, we did an interview with
Oh,
Ms.
yeah.
Konica, Dr. Konica. So if you guys haven't seen that, please check that out. It's on the Shamanic Church of the Heart YouTube channel. Thank you,
It
Konica.
certainly is. And she's amazing. Yeah, that was a beautiful, beautiful, long ass interview, but beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and from that, I've been invited to India, guys. So we're putting together, Kanika and I are putting together a week-long dieta in India on a resort property that is a part of her family where the elephants just freely roam. So a week long, September 23. So if you've always been wanting to go to India and been looking for a good excuse to go, this might be up your alley. So that's really sweet. Yeah, so information, we're still working on budgetary stuff and everything, but information will be coming out on all of that. So be on the lookout. That'll go up on my Linktree. So if you have not subscribed to Linktree, please do so because then that's where I'm putting all the things that are hot off of the press up on the Linktree. So that's a beautiful thing. La Purgata.
The Purga.
La Purgata. So, one of the biggest things, guys, that is so powerful about coming into an ayahuasca ceremony is the purge.
Will you tell us what exactly is the purge? And could you explain it to me as if I have no idea what the purge is?
So, when we talk about the purge, we talk about how, some people like to think about it as the effects of ayahuasca and how it affects the body, and that one of the quote side effects of drinking ayahuasca is that there is a purge that happens. And sometimes that purge can be vomiting. So you'll see, in any ayahuasca space where you're going into, that you'll have a mat that you're on, and beside your mat is a bucket. And that bucket is there for you to vomit in. So sometimes the purge, and that's the majority of people, purge, vomit. Sometimes it's diarrhea, but the purge can look real different for a lot of people. And that purge can be tears, tears of joy, tears of sadness. That purge can be
Laughter,
um, hmm?
laughter,
Laughter is like one of the big ones. It's a really, and I totally relate to that because I definitely
Vividly.
have the laughter purge. um I was just talking about this on an integration call where, like there was just such a funny moment in my last ceremony where a purge happened. And it was a laughing purge. And so what happens with a laughing purge is that it's pretty much unanimous. It's contagious. It goes around the room, and before you know it, the whole room has erupted in laughter. And just as fast as it comes, it's gone, just like that. Okay, good, got that out. But it's so cathartic. And in this last ceremony I was in, I have a jaw harp that sometimes I play. So the jaw harp is
A jaw harp.
so
Oh,
so I'm in the medicine. I'm in it big time, and I'm having this moment where, oh, it's time to play the jaw harp. Okay, here we go. And I go, I can't even do it now. It was like the
can you play it just a little bit for like 10 seconds for,
okay,
I'm
you
gonna say
guys
for
ready for a
everyone
little jaw
listening.
harp love? Okay, here you go.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
So I got my jaw harp out, and I'm having a moment, right? I'm in the medicine, I'm facilitating, I'm supposed to be playing this jaw harp, and the jaw harp, first of all, when I do the first boing, somebody in the room, one of our pasearos, bursts into mad laughter. I mean, like mad laughter. And now I can't stop laughing, and my jaw harp is kind of like stuck in my lip, and it's kind of like hanging. And the more that it's stuck in my lip, the more I can't stop laughing. And the whole thing is just like, it's just like one of these, like, woo, dog. So, yeah, playing my jaw harp, the room erupts, and everybody bursts into this madcap, just laughter, just beautiful purging of just cathartic release. And again, just like that, okay, I get my jaw harp out of my lip, and now I can go back in, and it's just okay. Now we're diving back into another portal, into another realm, into another part of the journey. So, yeah, the laughter is big and beautiful. And also, the purge can be yawning.
Hmm.
And I think that the yawn is very interesting because, when we think about, taking in the ethers from a spiritual point of view, we're looking at, are we to inspire, to breathe in, to bring in spirit into the body? Are we really calling for a deep connection with the divine in that way? And sometimes it's just that we feel like we're not getting enough oxygen. Um, but that yawning can be such an interesting, and the out of the like whoa, it's so beautiful, and the release of thinking about in the space and time of when the yawn comes in. Well, we're also bringing spirit into the lungs, into the heart chakra. We're opening up and expelling out energy that is maybe accumulated on the heart. So the purge can be shaking.
Hmm.
Shaking, I think, is so interesting. And in my experience, there's been two kind of forms of a shaking. One is almost like a realignment and less of a purge, but that your system, your overall body system is having an energetic realignment.
Mhm.
Whereas some of the time we look at the purge, and I always ask this, and kind of bring this up prior to a ceremony. And when we talk about ceremony protocol and we're talking about this specific thing of the shaking, is that if you start shaking in your ceremony, ask yourself, am I resisting somewhere? Because a lot of times that shaking can be that we've gotten so tightened up in our body that we're just actually just resisting letting go. I don't want to purge. I don't want to do, I don't want to feel this way. I don't like it. And then we just get into that resistance and the body starts shaking. So can you loosen up? Can you take a breath? Can you get your butterfly wings out and start, okay, I'm not going to do that. But we don't want to resist if there is a shaking that is happening. No, I'm not resisting. No, I'm good. Nope, I'm getting a realignment of the nervous system, or I'm getting a realignment all the way down into the DNA. And when you kind of know that at the time, so that's kind of cool. So why does ayahuasca do this? Why, grandmama? Why? Why do we have to go through that? And that becomes the bigger piece of what I think the dialogue is really about, is what's really happening and why and what's going on. And there's a lot of research out, guys, that is coming out and has been out about this specific thing, and why does the purge work? What is it working on, and what's happening? And so we start looking at the deeper picture as to, well, why are people showing up to, these plant medicine ceremonies? What's the purpose? Why are you here? What is your intention? And 99%, 99.9% of the people that I work with or that I have talked with are all ready to let go of trauma, sometimes very complex trauma. I mean, when we're talking about shame and imprints that have been placed on the epigenetics, and gosh knows we've had a lot of dialogue about that. So you can go back into those podcasts and look at the epigenetics and all of that. And so we understand that if we have trauma that we're releasing, that how is it going to be released? We understand that trauma that has been suppressed, oppressed, pushed down, not dealt with, comes out or starts to make manifest as dis-ease in the body. So there's energy that has been pushed down in the body, that we're not the trauma. Either it's on the DNA, or as we see a lot of times, stored in the gut. We see that people carry their old shit in the gut. And so ayahuasca is going to go where she needs to go to help you release that trauma, that pain, that suffering, whatever it is your intention is, so that you can become your highest, most brilliant self and not carry around the backpack of baggage that you've been carrying around. And that happens to be, the backpack happens to be the stuff that you've stored in your body. And so this medicine is going in. And a lot of people, and I brought this up earlier, Ty, is that some people think that it is a side effect of the medicine. And I'm here to say, and to kind of lean into the idea that it is the effect, not a side effect. It is part of the medicine, and why there is such a substantial amount of people that are actually receiving healing. And it is the felt sense of the experience that you are actually purging that out. You know, you know what that is that you're letting go of in the bucket. You know what that is when you are going to the bathroom and you are letting it go. You know, you're like, oh shit, that's all my, that's, oh my God, like, you know it, and you have the felt sense of the experience that says, I have released it. And I think that that really is a part of why there is such a massive, massive healing that happens, is that we're letting all of these things be released in the physical body. And when we start talking about the gut brain health, and how, just take plant medicine completely out of the picture, and we just talk about the gut brain health, and when we get the gut back in some sort of a balance, rather it's probiotics, or it is, a deep cleanse, or, colonics, or whatever, when we're restoring that gut health, all of a sudden the vagus nerve has the ability to do its job in opening up the serotonin in the brain, and all of a sudden there's not these dips in depression. And all of a sudden, as for years and years and years and years, as a colon hydrotherapist, people were coming and saying, they're super depressed and all of these things, but yet the moment that we get their gut straightened out, all of a sudden the serotonin can come up to the brain. All of a sudden, the brain has cognitive function. There is no more brain fog, and all of these different things that start playing out, where now we can come back and make choices because we have a clear head. Why? Because the gut has now come into balance. So if we start then adding back in plant medicine, who works with the gut, and taking all of the energetic, dinks that you've had, the traumas that you've had, that you're storing within the body, that you're storing within the nervous system, that you've stored, in various parts of your body. Now you have an opportunity to really purge it on a physical level and let it go. This is powerful. This is the really big medicine. And so when people start shying away and saying, sorry, I really don't want to go sit in a room and vomit in a bucket with perfect strangers, it's like, oh yeah, you do.
You really do.
Yeah, you really do. Yeah.
And it's so different. Purging is so different from what you would expect it to be if you have never gone through something like that for yourself. Because because before I had ever sat in my first ceremony and I'm thinking about the purge, you know what I mean? My only perception of, vomiting or being sick is coming from, something that is not, that it's something that is not in right relationship in the body. There's a virus or a bacteria or a stressor, or you just have so much anxiety, like when someone throws up before they have a performance or something like that. So we have all of these ideas of what we think these eliminations from the body are, and what they're supposed to be, and how they're supposed to act, and we think, oh my God, I'm throwing up while I'm sick. You know what I mean? And that's couldn't be further from the truth.
Relating it to sickness as opposed to wellness. That's a really good point.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And that's why, It is so important when you are going and you are in preparation to communicate with these plant spirits and to take these like plant spirits into your physical body is to prepare and have the time with the dieta to make sure that I heard a statistic somewhere that like 60% of your well-being comes from like the gut biome, like the bacteria in your gut and how all of that works together. And so I really appreciate how much of a stickler you are, Starr, when it comes to kind of preparing for this, because when you are going into a ceremony space, specifically with ayahuasca, and the purge is such a prominent factor in the healing process, you really want to make sure that you are, you know, taking in that chlorophyll, that you're doing those prebiotics, that you are, you know, having a clean diet, because you know shit's coming out, and shit's coming out both ways, you know what I mean? So
And that's a huge piece, Ty. And I'm really glad that you brought that up because, yeah, the dieta, and we've talked about dieta, it really sets you up. And it's like, if this medicine is busy in your time, like you've got X amount of time in ceremony to get the work done, the emotional work, all the things that need to be addressed in your whatever your intention is, and say you've got just a certain amount of time to do this. Wouldn't it make sense that you'd want to cleanse yourself and get yourself into such a great thing so that she's not purging out all that sugar that you or all that salt or all, whatever it is, because she cannot get through to the deeper layer if she's got to go through. And I say she because I always think of the grandmother spirit as this great grandmother, energy. So that's when I'm saying she, I'm referring to this beautiful, medicine that is acts like a grandma to us, and sits us down and says, did you look under that, but if you were, to say like, yeah, I want to come into this ceremony as clean and clear because I want to get to those bottom layers. We talk about turtles all the way down, right? Well, how many turtles are there? Like that kind of thing. We want to get to the bottom turtle, we want to get to those deep, deep, deep traumas that have been buried so deeply, and maybe that the sugar is masking it, or maybe the caffeine is masking it, and so we've got to take the masks off. Well, if you can take those masks off before you even show up, that's amazing, and it does make your experience, a lot better. And not to say that, dieta is very, 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 very important for many, 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 many reasons, partly in contraindications where certainly there are some things that don't mix with the medicine and could present its problems. And so there is that part of the dieta, but there is the other part that really is going to help your purge go to the cathartic space. And I think that it's so interesting that we use the cathartic analogy to the purge because, when we think of catharsis and how this goes way back into Aristotle kind of, days when Aristotle was bringing up the word of, catharsis, and then, would argue that you have to go through feelings that are unpleasant in life in order to experience the pleasure. And so, this is it. It is a cathartic kind of situation, where you're down in the trenches. It's uncomfortable. It's no doubt, you're having emotional reactions. You're pulling up old traumas and dramas and things, and your self-critic is showing up, and you're having dialogue with the self-critic, and you go, you know what, you don't deserve to be in my world anymore, and I gotta purge you out. There it is, self-critic in the bucket. And there's something really, really powerful about honoring that. And I think that in the purge, this is something that I think we have to really look at. And this is, we talked about fire fire ceremony and ways of letting things go and all of this early on in our podcast. But one of the things that I think is really important is that we've come to a place in our lives as a collective culture, cancel culture, right? We're canceling everybody left and right. We're, letting things go. We're, the throwaway. We are the throwaway society now. And I think that what is important about the purge and the letting go process is the
Yes.
honoring of where you've been through it all, the honoring of the struggle. And as Aristotle would say, the catharsis part of it is honoring even the struggle.
Being grateful for
And
the
hopefully we get to that space of gratitude, that we can be grateful for all of the things that we've gone through that have got us to this point. And maybe it's only a sense of gratitude just simply because now I'm over the hump. I can't find anything to be grateful for in all that mud that I've been circling in. But yeah, I can be grateful because right now I feel a sense of relief.
and that relief that you feel after
Woo!
the purge, after the big one, after all of that shit just gets out and is into the bucket, and that, oh my God, you know what I mean? It's transformative, it's cathartic, it is,
And
so
taking it to the Pachamama hole.
yes. Will you tell them what the Pachamama
I'm going
hole?
to talk about the Pachamama hole. So sometimes in a ceremony is a fire, sometimes it is a hole that's dug. Typically, we'll dig a hole, um, and we'll dig a hole in the earth, hence Pachamama hole. And what I do is I will put a layer of salt around the edge of that big hole so that it's containing the energies. So whatever is released is going into the Pachamama hole. And so you're taking your bucket out after all, you've gone through the trenches. And let me just say, it's not an all of a sudden, bleh, you are in it for a little bit of time. You're
Yeah.
feeling the stomach, having those modulations, having that, you're getting into it. Oh, this is rough. This is deep. Where is that? What is that? You're going back to your intention. You're maybe even sometimes you just can't, you're holding on for the ride, like, holy shit, I have no idea what this is. And sometimes that's perfectly okay that you can't pinpoint it. And a lot of times you can't pinpoint what it is that you're purging out, because I'm going to tell you this, because it's been with you since you were conceived, because we carry our ancestors' traumas, because we talk about the epigenetics. You've got imprints on your DNA. So sometimes you have this purge and you can't really pinpoint what that is, but you know that it's been with you for a really long time and you are so grateful that it's not anymore. So and then you take the walk out to the Pachamama hole after you've kind of gotten yourself together and like, woo, that was a big one. All right, okay, I'm good. And you take that long walk out, to the Pachamama hole, which is outside in the earth, and you dump it in. And you have a moment of reverence. You have a moment of thank you. Thank you for the blessings, for the lessons that you've taught me. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for all of it. And I am letting you go. Goodbye, sayonara, fuck off, whatever it is, that needs to be said and prayed over, and in an honoring of where you've been and all that you've been through. And this, I feel, this part of the purge is such a significant piece of closure.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of us are looking for in our life when it comes to our trauma, when it comes to the quote unquote bad things that have happened to us in our life, is we want closure,
Right.
because these things, they eat at us and we carry them with us, even if we're not conscious of them. Like, they're always in the background, they're always in the back of your head. And there's always that, just of
The
the
triggers
trigger.
that show up in our daily life are unhealed pieces, guys. And so, unhealed pieces of ourselves that, the universe is always going to give you what you need. So, hey, are you ready to heal this? So you keep getting Zen teachers in the form of, like whatever, to you just show you your projections, to show you your unhealed pieces. And so, anytime that we're triggered and anytime that we're feeling that space of, this is an unhealed piece. So,
And you said something, and it just made me think of, it just made me think of something. It's gone now. It's gone
whoop,
forever. It's
whoop,
whoop, bye.
it'll come back around. Trust
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So the purge, yeah, the purge is one of the ones that, people have the most resistance into coming into a ceremony because they want the healing. They feel that, maybe the plant medicine has been calling to them, and the resistance is. And I want to say that truly the resistance can be because you equate the purge with not feeling well, right? I've been sick, and so therefore I'm purging. And so, yeah, you have been sick and you are purging, and that sickness is an emotional health situation. And so, yeah, I feel like the other piece to that is the sense of vulnerability.
Right. And I just want to say really quick also, and get into that vulnerability, but also in the same vein of, feeling resistance to ceremony or plant medicine or psychedelics or the purge, as the purge specifically is equating it with not feeling well, but also maybe the anxiety of like something coming up in that experience that, is going to be too much, or it's going to be too heavy for you to deal with.
A
And
hundred percent.
I am a firm believer that, grandmother medicine is not going to run your ass over the hot coals with your shit. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
yeah, and that's a really big thing. And I'm so grateful that you brought that up, Ty, because she's not here to pick your scabs. If you've healed something, she's not going to reopen a wound. And the other thing that is so beautiful, and I think one of the, I mean, there's such a synergy of different components to a ceremony that we could point to and say this is why it works. But I think that, part of that is this piece that we've had with the purge.
mhm.
The fact that we are the observer of what has happened, we're not reliving it. We are the observer of the stuff that has happened in the past that maybe needs to be pulled up and healed. And so you're not reliving the things, the trauma over and over and over again. You have an observer's perspective where you're looking at it and going, oh, that's what that was. Oh my God, yeah. Oh, yes, 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 yes. God has helped me. So it is not raking, like you say, raking you over the coals or picking your scabs or things like that. And it's not to say that some people don't have a very challenging time. It's true, but we go back to Aristotle and the catharsis, and that that hard time is nothing compared to holding on to trauma that is creating dis-ease in your body.
Right. And we see this, and well, I see this as, ceremony itself and the purge itself as being a microcosm of the macrocosm of your life in its totality. And so what I feel like the purge shows you at an ayahuasca ceremony is how, as these conscious beings living here on this planet, we are constantly purging in our lives. Even if you've never sat in an ayahuasca ceremony, you are purging things that no longer serve your highest good. We are constantly metamorphosizing, realigning, bringing new things, new experiences into our lives. And, we honor and we respect and we give thanks and gratitude to those things that no longer serve us. And that's something that has really been profound for me in my work with plant medicine is, the synchronicities and the reflections that ceremony has in my life, just in a day-to-day process, because I really feel like that is what ceremony is a reflection and an honoring of your life as a whole. So
Well said. So beautiful. Yeah, it is. And that just goes to really the thing, the ongoingness of the purge. Okay, so we have the purge in ceremony, but let's talk a little bit about integration and how, maybe the purge continues on an energetic level and plays out in your life. And so, one of the things that I always give, in our integration talk before we leave a ceremony is like, no
oh,
upsets
yeah.
in your life, for the next 2 weeks. No, you can't go home and divorce your spouse, or, no, you can't go home and quit your job. Give yourself these 2 weeks of integration, because what's really going to happen is that things are going to fall away in the life, and what really, with that purge that comes so significant after the purge, is usually another blast out to your higher self, and where you're getting now downloads. So now you've got room for new information to come in. You've had this purge, and now you have room in the physical body, in the energy body, in the spiritual body to receive new information, maybe new downloads, maybe even a new nervous system, maybe even a new upgrade to your DNA. I mean, it's a thing of all of this, time frame of, oh yes, now I've got room for my higher self to live. I can embody now my higher self, where before your higher self, your higher consciousness was going fuck to the no. I'm not. You got to get rid of all that. You got to learn to love yourself. You got to bring that inner child home. You've got to reclaim your magic. You've got to reclaim all of your lost soul pieces across all timelines. I mean, there's a lot that can go on in a ceremony so that you can be whole and healed and walk out of this. And now you're out of ceremony into your life. Your life is the ceremony. And you're saying, okay, so I'm an embodied higher consciousness, and what does that really look like? So maybe the purge continues in that you're purging out your refrigerator, you're purging out your cabinets, like, I know I need higher vibration food in my body. Maybe the purge is that I need to go home and clean the toxins out of my home, and maybe that those toxins look like what's under your kitchen sink, or maybe those that has to do with the total cleanse of your apartment or your house or your place. Maybe that continuation of the purge is people in your life that are not of support for you in your highest vibration, and those people just start automatically falling away. And you can see comments from people who have come out of ceremony that go, whew, how do I navigate this relationship now? Like, oh my God, how do I be in relationship with my family or with my lover or whatever? And, now I've got, the bar has just been raised a little bit, and my standard of what I'm putting into my body, who I'm putting into my body, where, all of the things are showing up and saying, higher vibration, your frequency right now or higher is what we're really go. And the people are going, ooh, ooh, She thinks she all that now. Oh, see, okay, and trying to bring down. And I always say, like, this is a hard thing when you've come out of your cocoon and you've had your metamorphosis and you're a full-on butterfly. There's no way that you can go back into your cocoon. You cannot shrink your energy.
And with that, I think is important to say is that there can be a level of grief that comes along with that metamorphosis, because it's the grief of maybe the loss of what you were holding on to so hard. And like you were saying, when we are purging all of this out, there is now this space that has to be filled. It has to be filled. But the beautiful thing is you are, soaring in life with these beautiful fucking butterfly wings, and you have the choice of what you are going to fill that space with. So
You
I think,
filling it with love?
are
Are
you
you
feeling?
filling it with compassion? Are you raising your consciousness to these higher frequencies of, empathy and compassion and, pure bliss love? I mean, this is it. This is the story that we're creating in our life. And this is really and truly why I continue to carry the medicine, and why I show up and why I do is because we're shifting, we're seeding a new earth, and it's time for us to be in this, kind of creating the balance in the collective consciousness where we see chaos and fear on one end, while we're over here, manifesting pure bliss love and embodying that and carrying that out into the world. And there's really something powerful that you talk about in the grieving process of all of that. And I so much so that I try to do an integration call for everybody, anybody who sat in, and it's called grief, loss, and plant medicine. Because a lot of times, like especially when we're doing the DNA work, that we're not even sure exactly what that was, but whoo, we feel a lot better, and we do know that that was something that has been imprinted from the beginning of your time here in this earthly meat suit. Then it's kind of like, wow, this has been with me throughout my whole life, and I feel a loss. I feel like there is a part of me that's grieving. It's like, I used to have a mole on my eyebrow. It was my birthmark. And um, I feel like that was such a part of my identity in growing up, In fact, that my dad, I mean, my name Starr is just because of that, my dad calling me Star Child, as I was growing up. And that was, like seeing my mole as my third eye, and that I always had an intuitive sense, and, this, that, and the other thing. And then, later in life, it became an issue and I had to remove it, but it became a part of my identity. No, it wasn't for my highest good. It was shifting and changing. It needed to be taken off. But it doesn't mean that I didn't grieve it, as it was a part of my identity. It was a part of the foundation. And so, same kind of thing. We remove a mole, we remove the trauma, we remove it all, but it doesn't mean that we don't have some sort of a grief up around it, or that we've built up a certain identity around these. What really means when you purge out your victim or your self-sabotager, now you have the awesome responsibility of stepping into your higher self and no longer being a victim. And what does that look like? And so, yeah, if you've been a victim your whole life and everything has been predicated on you playing the victim role, then it's going to be a little challenging to, yeah, honor the victim, and that you might have a little bit of grief and a little bit of loss around that, and that's okay. It's okay. And this is where the honoring really comes in. And so, like, there's times that I will even suggest build an altar, a 15-day altar, or a 30-day altar, not an altar that's going to be up there and creeping on you for the rest of your life, but specific time, 15-day, from a new moon to a full moon even is a perfect time to honor the victim, to honor that which you have let go of. And maybe that altar looks like a little tea light candle that you're lighting every day for the self-critic, or the whatever, that you're honoring that part that you've let go of. And so this is a really deep, deep practice, and it is a really big thing that we have to understand, that the purge is just not like this, woohoo, it's a celebration, that there's lots of little nuances that are in there and lots of things that really can be dissected and looked at. But the biggest thing is that you got to be willing to let go, and you got to be willing to step in
Mhm.
to what is next. That means that you have to take responsibility now for your life in another way, in a deeper way. That means that you have to have clear boundaries, and that you're not going to let people, come in and sabotage you, or whatever the story has been. So that's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. And looking at, how the purge continues, but also the grief and the loss that can accompany the purge. It's huge.
Absolutely. And I also want to say what an awesome responsibility it is, because after you leave this beautiful ceremony space, and you have done so much work and you've purged so much out, and then you go back to your life, you go back to your apartment, you go back to your house, and everything's kind of the same, almost, but not the same at the same
And
time.
everything is different.
It's like you still have the job to go back to on Monday, your partner that's waiting for you, or maybe you and your partner are going home together because you've gone through like an experience, and you've supported each other through that work, whatever it is. But there is a level of responsibility of what you are filling your space and your life with afterwards, because you know we release all of this shit out, and so you think it's good, it's gone, it's done, it's whatever. But there is that time and that opportunity for those patterns to creep in, for those old dynamics to kind of say, hey, I'm comfortable, I'm familiar, you've known me for a long time, do you want to let me back in?
Hello, my love.
and so and so I feel like that is so important for anybody that is going to embark on this journey or wants to step into an experience with plant medicine, is to really be mindful of that, and to really make sure that you are getting yourself into a situation with somebody who is experienced, with somebody who knows all of the little nuances of this, because I feel like that is what is lacking. We've talked about this before so much in the psychedelic plant medicine community, is the integration. Like, we can go in and we can have these big like earth-shattering fucking experiences, and we can shit our brains out, and then we go home and it's like, well, what do I do now? So
Yeah, so let's do a segment on just the integration tie, because I feel like that is like way up there in the importance. I mean, when you leave ceremony, you're not done. I mean, I say that's when the real work begins, right? That's when
right.
we have to really set yourself up in making sure that you've done the things to really make sure that you're going through that integration process, taking responsibility, doing the somatic therapy. Really, what is it that are the tools, and making the integration plan is huge. And this is a huge topic for me, and it's one of my passions, because I feel like it's one of the most overlooked
One of the
things
most
in a
important.
ceremony. Is like, okay, bye. You leave Peru, okay, bye. Right? You leave one of the centers, okay, bye. I hope you had a great trip. See you next time you come. Maybe some of the centers will have an integration forum on Facebook, where everybody from the group, and has interaction in that. Um, and sometimes there is a one-on-one call, which is really helpful. And I think that all of those things are important, but most important is that you have a plan.
Yes.
You know that you're going to be held accountable. And yeah, I'm going to be calling you going, hello. So how's that integration plan going? So what you been doing? I'm going to hold your toes to the fire in that accountability. Um, and that's important, and the reminder. Look, so much so, guys, that I've been working this year, and I'm really hoping that it's going to come out in 23 as an integration playbook so that, you have ways of, like writing down in a journal, experience of what you actually did today. Hey, did you get outside? Did you go see a tree friend? What was your tree friend experience? Or go outside and connect with a tree friend today. Go outside and make a prayer to the water. Have you done X, Y, or Z in your somatic? How are your I ams? Can you look up back and say, do you need to rewrite your I am statement? So there's a lot of things that I think are really important in this integration process. And I'm going to say that there's a lot of people that are on the opposite side of my opinion and my thought process that say poo-poo to integration. This is a gateway keeping, or this is a way for people to get in. And I don't know, there's some weirdness energy around it, and that's okay. I'm just speaking from my experience and and how I was trained by Shipibo in Shipibo culture, that there is a really important aspect that needs to be addressed and continued in the integration process. So we can get into some of those things, and maybe in our next podcast. I know that we had kind of talked about doing something different in our podcast, but you guys let us know if that's something that you want to hear more about. I'm happy to dedicate one of our sacred service podcasts to the integration process, because I really do feel that it is so important, and to give some techniques and some ideas, and I know I just threw out a bunch of them, but yeah, it's important.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Star, for coming on and sharing your knowledge and your experience and everything. It's so beautiful. This was all very thought-provoking. Thank you to everyone who has been listening and has, if you've made it this far, holy shit.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You are a star fan, and I love you. Yeah. It's been a beautiful podcast, and I hope in some way you guys have learned a little something, something, and maybe you're not so skirt of the perch. No skirt of the perch. Yeah, maybe in some way it's touched you, and just knowing that there are so many different ways that we can purge and let go energetically of the things that we carry in our energy body. And we've touched on a lot of different ways to let go of. And certainly, if you find yourself saying to yourself, wow, I think I have some trauma stored in my body, reach out. I can help. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to carry it around. You don't have to carry your grandfather's trauma, your grandmother's trauma. You don't have to do that anymore. And truly is that it's such an honor to be able to help in this way, to release the ancestors from these burdens and carry their gifts forward. That is such a huge honoring. And Ty, I'm just so grateful that we have been able to come onto our podcast and share and thank you for sharing so deeply and bringing your wisdom. Before we head out for the day, what was your favorite favorite purge experience?
Right. So the one that has been coming to my mind, like this whole time that we've been doing this podcast, uh, I was so I was sitting there, we were, going through it, and like the stomach is modulating and everything is just like, oh, I don't think I'm having a fun time right now. I don't think that this is, this isn't it, guys. This isn't it. And I can't remember what happened, but it was just, oh, okay. Actually, I have two stories. So let me finish this and then I have another one. So it's just, I felt everything in my like bones, and like the moon is like right outside the door, and like them bathing in the moonlight, and it's just all of a sudden, blah, and it all just comes out. And one of like the pasieros that was sitting across from me looks at me and goes, I literally just witnessed that entire thing, and you went from looking like she was like, I could see your skeleton, like all inside of you, like it was just like ghastly and like ew, and like all of this stuff. And it was just like these translucent bones, like I was seeing under your skin and all this stuff. And she was like, oh no, like I can't look at this, like I can't look at him right now. And then I purged, and it was like, "Ugh." And she goes, after that, it was like, completely transformative. She goes, you went from looking like a skeleton to like looking like a regal, you know, esque lioness or lion,
Wow.
situation. And I was like, oh, I felt that in my fucking bones, girlfriend. And then the other one, so the other one, I hope you remember this story, but
Oh,
um
good.
you,
A challenge.
you were doing your check-ins with everybody, and you were like talking to somebody else who was across the room, and you were like, how you doing? And they were like, or you were like, are you ready for another dose? And she was like, yeah, I want another dose. And I would go, I want another dose. And you said, wait your turn. And I instantly, not even a second later, it was like, into the butt. And I was like, okay, wait.
Did my stern mama come out at you? You gotta wait your turn. Stop it.
Yeah,
You
you
have
were
a
like,
purge to do first.
wait your turn, and not even a split second later, it was like thunder and lightning, like blah, like coming out, and then it was like,
Wow.
yeah, it was crazy. And then like a minute later, I was like, okay, no, I really am ready for that second dose. Like,
Okay, I'm really ready now. Okay, come on up. I love it. I love it. I think, part of I think if I were to share purge stories, um, I have two things too. One, as a facilitator, when I get, you need to go to the center of the room and sing this song, and this is one of the Scrubby Dubby songs, right? Scrubby Dubby, we're going in, and what I think is so beautiful and amazing is when the purge is like dominoes. Like it starts around, one person, it takes one person, and then the next thing you know, the whole room is it with the head in the bucket. And it's always amazing to me when these songs come out, these icoros, that I know, like, oh shit, okay, we're getting ready to go in. This is gonna be big. And then it just like, bleh, all through the room. And I think that that's just amazing to me. That is validation of how these frequencies, and the icoros play out, and how the energies in the room play out, and how we are all so connected. One person starts purging. And have you ever been in a ceremony where somebody goes, oh, thank you for just purging for me?
oh yeah, I feel
Hmm.
like I have purged for others, and others have purged for me. I've totally had like a purge sibling in the ceremony experience, for
Yeah.
sure.
And my thought process on that is that you don't project onto other people. You
Mm.
know, you purge for you, buddy. Own it, And if you purged, if you were feeling that somebody was, that you were colluding with the energy or resonating with the energy that they were trying to let go of, and you too have something that you need to let go of in that same energy frequency. And so, I think there's always an interesting thing about that. And then, for me in, going and sitting with my mentor, because um, the purge is always so important and cathartic, is like when I get to have one of those big cathartic purges where I'm carrying my bucket to the bathroom and it's coming out both ends, like I'm always like, hallelujah.
Right.
Hallelujah. Get the big purge. Let's get it going. Yeah, baby. And it always does feel like, it takes every ounce of energy to sometimes you're crawling to that bathroom, just, because everything is so big at the time and, whatever. But yeah, those cathartic purges, both ends, I'm like, heck yeah, baby, let's go.
Hallelujah. A drink of
Hallelujah.
that and hallelujah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Well, there we have it. And so now you know. Can't say you haven't been told. Now you know the purge. And yeah, love to hear from you guys. Thank you so, so very much for tuning in to the Sacred Service podcast. We are so, so grateful that you are here and with us. And yeah,
We'll
bless,
see you
bless,
next
bless.
time.
We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody. See you
Peace
later,
and love.
alligator.
Get in your heart space, share the love, be the love bomb, you guys. Love you.
Love you.
Hmm.
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 Where's
There's no place. Oh, there we go.